Power, the word that rules every century, every empire, every soul. But what is power really? Most people think it's about muscles, wealth, or titles. Machiavelli knew better. Power, he said, is not what you hold. It's what people think you hold. In his book, The Prince, Machiavelli shattered the illusion of virtue that rulers were like perfume. He understood the bitter truth. Men are selfish, fearful, and blind. They see what is visible and believe what is repeated. So if you can control their eyes, you control their minds. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone can see, but few can feel." It means your actions matter less than your image. Appear kind when you must be cruel. Appear humble when you plan strike. Appear righteous when you sin in silence. For the crowd, truth is irrelevant. Appearance is everything. Machiavelli warned rulers never to reveal their inner thoughts. Once people understand your real intentions, they stop fearing you. And when fear dies, loyalty soon follows. That's why every powerful man wears a mask of calm when he is burning inside, a mask of mercy when his hands drip with blood, a mask of control when the world beneath him is chaos. Because control is not about truth, it's about illusion. In politics, love is temporary. Fear is permanent. People love you until it costs them something, but they fear you even when it costs them nothing. And fear is a far more reliable servant than affection. A ruler, Machiavelli said, must learn the art of pretending. Pretend to be loyal to faith, yet act for gain. Pretend to care for the people, yet act for power. Pretend to value peace, yet prepare for war. This is not hypocrisy. This is survival. He believed that morality is a tool for the weak, because in the real world, good men rarely win. The cunning, the ruthless, the disciplined, they rule. The rest serve and suffer, whispering about justice that never comes. And yet, his advice was not evil. It was simply realistic, because he looked into the heart of mankind and saw the beast inside. Every society pretends to worship honesty, but rewards deception. Every nation praises mercy, but survives through fear. Every friendship begins with trust, but ends with ambition. Machiavelli did not create this. He exposed it. He believed that power is like fire. Those who dare to touch it get burned. But those who learn to control, it can light the entire kingdom. He wrote, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interest." This isn't betrayal, it's balance. Promises are sacred only when they serve your purpose. Beyond that, they are chains. He studied leaders like Caesar, Alexander, and Borgia, men who ruled with both grace and terror. And he found one truth echoing through history. It is not the strongest who survive, but the most adaptable. So what is the mask of power? It is not falsehood. It is discipline. You must learn to hide emotion, to master silence, to act with timing. Every smile, every gesture, every word must have purpose. Because in a world ruled by perception, the slightest weakness can destroy you. People may call you manipulative, cruel, heartless. Let them. Machiavelli would smile because he knew those who cry about cruelty are the first to kneel before it. Or remember. Don't show the world your wounds. Don't reveal your fear. Wear your mask like a crown. Rule not through kindness, but through control. Because in the game of power, the mask is not a lie. It's armor. Power begins with perception. But control, that is the art that keeps power alive. Machiavelli understood something that most rulers never did. Controlling people isn't about chains or cages. It's about understanding their fears, desires, and weaknesses, and then quietly pulling the right strings. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But what did he really mean? Fear, he said, makes obedience natural. Love makes it optional. Love depends on gratitude. Fear depends on survival. And when times grow dark, gratitude disappears, but fear remains loyal. That is why a wise ruler doesn't chase affection. He cultivates respect, and if necessary, fear. Because fear is predictable. It does not change with the weather or with emotion. Machiavelli never said you must be cruel for pleasure. He said cruelty must be measured. Use it only when needed, and use it swiftly. Prolonged cruelty breeds hatred, but precise cruelty breeds obedience. He advised, if an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Meaning, if you must strike, strike once and never again. Half measures create rebels. Decisive action creates order. Scene shows a chessboard. A single king surrounded by fallen pieces. Control, Machiavelli believed, comes from strategy, not emotion. To rule others, you must first rule yourself. Because the greatest enemy of power is not another man. It's your own heart. When you let anger dictate action, you lose precision. When you let pride cloud judgment, you fall into traps. When you trust too easily, you hand your throne to another. So the prince, he said, must learn the art of stillness. Watch, listen, wait, observe what others desire, and offer it to them in exchange for loyalty. Observe what they fear, and protect them from it in exchange for obedience. This is how power works, not by force, but by influence. A true Machiavellian leader doesn't say, follow me. He makes others want to follow. He turns loyalty into necessity. People obey him not because they are forced, but because they believe they need him. He wrote, men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that the deceiver will always find someone ready to be deceived. Machiavelli wasn't mocking humanity. He was exposing its pattern. He knew that most people prefer comfort over truth. They would rather be controlled gently than think deeply. So a wise ruler does not fight human nature. He uses it. He feeds the illusion of choice while guiding every outcome. He lets people believe they are free, while every path leads back to his design. That is the essence of control. Machiavelli also warned about advisors. He said, a wise prince must choose wise men and give them alone the liberty of speaking the truth to him. Because too many voices create confusion. Too much honesty breeds rebellion. A leader must listen, but never lose command. Consult others, but decide alone. Because shared power is diluted power. He compared leadership to navigation. A captain does not ask every sailor which way the wind blows. He reads the waves himself. He makes the hard choices when the storm arrives. Control also means mastering the art of timing. A leader must know when to show mercy and when to strike fear. Too much kindness creates corruption. Too much terror creates revolt. But the perfect balance, that is what keeps kingdoms alive for centuries. Machiavelli understood that chaos is a tool. A ruler may even allow a little disorder to make his control seem necessary. Because when people fear instability, they cling to authority. They trade freedom for protection. And the one who offers that protection becomes their god. He wrote, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Meaning, promises are not sacred, they are strategic. Circumstances change, and only fools stay loyal to dead words. A wise man stays loyal to reality. So what is the art of control, truly? It is not about domination. It is about direction, guiding the minds of others so subtly that they believe it was their own idea. Control is invisible. It lives in gestures, silence, and presence. It is not what you demand. It's what others offer without realizing why. Machiavelli's ruler doesn't shout. He whispers. He doesn't chase loyalty. He designs it. He doesn't seek power. He becomes power. This is why Machiavelli's wisdom endures. Because his truth was never about kings and crowns. It was about you, your workplace, your relationships, your ambitions. Every time you try to influence, persuade, or lead, you are playing the same ancient game. You may not call it politics, but it is. And every word of the prince still applies. Control begins the moment you stop reacting and start observing. When you no longer seek validation, but outcomes. When you stop trying to please and start to rule your own emotions. Because those who can control themselves can control anything. Machiavelli believed that power can be built, control can be mastered. But there is one force no man can fully command: fortune. To him, Fortuna was not luck. It was a wild river, unpredictable, violent, and merciless. It could flood your kingdom or fill your sails. You cannot stop it, but you could prepare for it. He wrote, "Fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force." In his words, fortune rewards those who are bold, those who dare to act when others hesitate. Machiavelli saw two kinds of men: those who wait for opportunity and those who create it. The weak believe in destiny. The strong write it. He said that fortune controls half of our actions, but the other half is in our hands. We cannot choose the storm, but we can choose how we sail through it. We cannot stop chaos, but we can turn it into power. To him, boldness was not recklessness. It was clarity in chaos. The courage to move forward when others freeze. Because hesitation kills faster than failure. He observed that timid rulers lose empires, not because they were weak, but because they were afraid to act. In times of peace, the cautious seem wise. In times of crisis, the bold become legends. Machiavelli wrote his wisdom not for cowards, but for those who dared to shape the world. He saw history as a battlefield where only the decisive survive. Those who wait for the perfect moment never act at all. Those who seize the imperfect moment create perfection through victory. He believed that fortune loves the fearless. A man who dares to risk, to step beyond comfort, to defy fate, becomes favored by it. Fortune, he said, is like a river before the flood. If you build dams and channels when the water is low, you control it when the storm comes. But if you do nothing, the flood destroys everything you built. Preparation and boldness. These are the twin weapons of the Machiavellian mind. He warned rulers not to rely on luck, allies, or mercy. Because what luck gives, it can take away. What allies grant, they can betray. And mercy from others is never free. He wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Meaning, hesitation is death. The world rewards the man who acts first, not the one who thinks forever. Every empire that ever existed followed this law. Rome rose because it acted before its enemies. Napoleon, centuries later, understood the same rule. Speed is power. Those who wait to see what happens become victims of those who make it happen. But Machiavelli's wisdom was not only for kings. It was for everyone who wishes to rule their own life. Fortune is not just in palaces or battlefields. It's in your choices, your risks, your courage to move when the world stands still. Every decision, every silence, every risk, that's where fortune hides. He said, "The more power you desire, the more risk you must accept." Meaning, comfort is the enemy of greatness. You cannot conquer the world if you cannot conquer fear. Yet Machiavelli was not blind to failure. He knew even the bold sometimes fall. But he believed, falling while fighting is better than surviving in hesitation. Because the man who risks nothing owns nothing. And the man who acts, even if he fails, leaves a mark time cannot erase. That's why his wisdom remains immortal. Because he didn't teach people to be monsters. He taught them to face the monsters of life without trembling. He believed in rational courage, the strength to act with calculation, the fire to face chaos with strategy, and the calm to rebuild after the storm. He taught that life belongs to those who move with both cunning and courage. The fox sees the traps, the lion breaks through them, but only the bold one walks forward, even when the path is unclear. Machiavelli's words were